Hi everyone, MR Assassin here, and in this video I'm going to present to you 5 unusual ways to get better at a language. This was originally going to be a brain booster topic, which by the way, if you haven't seen before, check it out. Hopefully I can put a link up there. But I decided a topic like this is better suited to a video of its own, so I can really give more detail about it. So this list is from multiple studies all being kind of merged together to find these unusual ways that worked. This is kind of targeted to people that are just brand new to a language, but it could help people that are still maybe more intermediate and still getting used to the language. So let's get started. The first way is just listening to the language, even if you have no clue what's being said and you're not even really paying close attention. It sounds obvious when I just say listen to the language, but it's the way it's being said here is that you don't really pay attention to it. You just have it in the background as like a white noise. So the researchers asked Finnish speakers to listen to Mandarin while engaged in other tasks, and they did this for 2 hours a day on 4 consecutive days, and they were instructed to ignore the sounds and focus on a silent movie. They found that this passive exposure can induce plastic changes related to change detection in the adult human brain, which was previously thought to only happen in infancy. Step 2 is to not try too hard with the grammar. This is really counterintuitive because you think, I need to know grammar to learn a language. But when you're a child and you're learning your first language, you're not paying attention to grammar, you're just listening to how people talk and you're talking like them. For this list, that's for the most part what they're trying to get you to imitate. To learn the language like a child, basically. They say that you have an advantage of learning grammar more easily until about 17, and then it becomes harder to learn foreign language grammar. Step 3 is you choose the right time of day or night to learn. Lots of language classes tend to take place in the evenings, but they're finding that it's not the optimum time for everyone, especially older people and teenagers. They found that older adults between age 60 to 82 were better able to focus and tended to do better at memory tests between 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. For younger adults, this ability to focus remained active into the afternoon. Another study, though, says that evening learning can be beneficial, especially if you follow it with a decent night's sleep, with a follow-up session the next morning. There was a test where they had a group learning different translations right in the evening, and then they had a follow-up session in the morning, and they found that that group that did that evening and follow-up session outperformed all other groups on all kinds of memory tests. So for learning a language, it suggested that you have 2 study periods, one right before bedtime and then one right after waking. Next method is taking long breaks. These are all kind of counterintuitive from what we've been taught. So there's something that they call a 10% rule, where you space your revision periods at intervals of roughly 10% of the time that you'd really like to retain those memories. So if you have a test coming up in a month, then you should space your reviews about every 2 or 3 days. Then if you want to remember for the longer term, let's say in a year, then you should be reviewing information once every month. It's believed that these long gaps tell your brain that it needs to retain it, so it holds on to it longer if you're reviewing it long periods at a time. And the final method, I know it's a little weird, but having a drink. There was a study published in 2017 that alcohol can be beneficial. So some German volunteers learning Dutch who drank enough vodka to achieve a blood alcohol level of 0.04%, which is just under a pint of beer for a 70-kilogram male. These volunteers were rated by independent Dutch speakers as speaking the language more proficiently during a short test. They had to argue in Dutch for or against animal testing, compared with other participants who had only drunk water beforehand. And this is because people feel anxious when they're talking in a foreign language. And the alcohol makes you calm down a little bit, and it makes it a little easier to grab words that you might be a little hesitant to say. It is worth pointing out, though, that the participants did use a low dose of alcohol, so getting wasted might not have those beneficial effects. So that's it for this episode. Be sure to leave a like if you found this information interesting and helpful. If you want to see some more of my content, be sure to hit subscribe. I also have a Twitter if you want to follow me there. And thanks for watching. Moi moi.